On December 13, 1976, at 7:45 p.m., Carol Hutto, who was 16 years old, got a phone call that made her happy and excited. She told her mother, Norma Hutto, right away after the call that she was going to a nearby store, which was only a 10-minute walk away and would be back in an hour. Her mother had no idea that it would be the last time she saw her beloved daughter. After that, Carol never came back home. Hi, and welcome back to our channel. If you are new here, please consider subscribing, as it helps us motivate to create more intriguing content for you. Let's have a look at the most twisted cold case solved after 24 years. Largo, the place where Carol's life took a tragic turn, is a vibrant city nestled amidst the serene landscapes of Pinellas County. This charming city has a lot to offer, making it a magnet for residents and visitors alike. With a population exceeding 82,000, Largo has established itself as a thriving and inclusive community. The city's warmth and tight-knit atmosphere are palpable, providing a sense of belonging and camaraderie that's not often found in larger urban areas. What makes Largo truly special is its unique blend of city life and natural surroundings. This coastal city boasts picturesque landscapes, inviting parks, and access to the stunning Gulf of Mexico. The city's commitment to preserving its green spaces and promoting a healthy lifestyle is evident in the numerous parks, trails, and recreational facilities that can be found throughout the area. The famous Largo Central Park is a popular gathering spot for families, offering a beautiful lake, playgrounds, and plenty of space for outdoor activities. Let's go back in time to February 6, 1960. On that day, Edward and Norma Hutto welcomed a precious baby girl into the world in the cozy town of Largo. They named her Carol Dean Hutto, and her youth was illuminated by the affection and care she received from her family. Being the youngest in the family, she was the apple of everyone's eye. Carol's school days led her to Largo High School, where her classmates adored her for her innate kindness and gentle nature. Her family was a tight-knit crew. Jerry Irwin Hutto, her half-brother, shared a special bond with Carol. Although not much is known about him, it was clear that they were incredibly close. Jerry doted on his sister, going to great lengths to fulfill her wishes, a testament to their strong sibling connection. In addition to Jerry, Carol had 4 more siblings, 2 sisters, Pamela Biljudo and Melinda Darlene Hutto, and 2 brothers, Maurice Barnett Hutto and Frank Hutto. Carol was the radiant heart of her family, bringing joy to their lives. They enjoyed exciting activities, like attending gripping wrestling matches and heart-pounding NASCAR races. Carol's mother fondly remembered her as a devout Christian who was discerning in choosing her friends. Carol harbored grand dreams and a heart filled with adventure, but tragically she was never granted the opportunity to fully chase those dreams. Fast forward to December 13, 1976, Carol Hutto was at home on Corvette Drive, sharing her evening with her mother and half-brother. Laughter and jokes filled the air as Norma prepared dinner and Jerry readied himself for a date. The evening took an unexpected turn when the household phone began to ring. When Norma picked up the phone, it was Carol's friend on the other end. To do this, she gave Carol the phone, and they talked in a whisper for a while. But when Norma came back, she cut the call off right away. It is strange that Carol's mood changed so quickly after the call. She became very happy and excited, which made Norma notice her. Carol quickly went to her room, fixed her hair, and looked at herself in the mirror. There was a store only a 10-minute walk from their house, and she told her mom she was going there after about 15 minutes. Carol left the shop before Norma could even ask what she needed. Carol promised she'd return shortly before she left. Jerry also left the house for his date and said goodbye to Norma. I did not have to walk very far to get to the store. It took Carol about 20 minutes or less every time. Norma thought Carol would be back home in 30 minutes. But after an hour, Carol still had not come back. Norma began to think that Carol might have been taking longer because she ran into her friends on the way and was talking to them. But when 2 hours went by and Carol still had not come back, Norma got even more worried. The sky was getting dark, and Carol's absence was worrying because she had never been late before. Norma said she sensed something was wrong when Carol didn't return as she had promised. As soon as Jerry got home around 10 p.m., Norma asked him if he had seen Carol. She was very worried. Of course, Jerry had no idea where she was, just like Norma. Jerry was even more worried when he learned that Carol had not come home since she left. She told him to go look for her outside. He started to look for her outside. He started to look for her by calling her name in the streets, but no one answered. He even went to the store near their house that Carol was meant to go, but the employees said they had not seen her today. This made him worry about where Carol might be if she did not go to the store as planned. Jerry came home sad after his search and told Norma that he could not find Carol anywhere. Even though they were worried, they chose to wait until morning in case Carol came home by herself. But when the morning sun came up, Norma became even more worried because Carol still had not been seen. Norma did not want to wait any longer, so she called the cops to say that Carol was missing. However, the cops told her that they could not file a missing person report yet because Carol had been missing for less than 24 hours. They also thought about the chance that Carol had left home without returning. Norma mentioned that girls often run away, but insisted that Carol hadn't run away. Carol had no reason to do so. She was content with how things were going. However, Norma couldn't fathom the idea of Carol leaving their home or running away from the family. She had a strong feeling that something unfortunate had befallen her daughter. They did not want to wait for the cops to do something about it because of this. They chose to do something about it themselves and go look for Carol themselves. They talked to people in their neighborhood to find out if anyone had seen Carol the night before. Nearby residents thought they saw Carol leave her house around 8 p.m., but no one saw her come back that same night. In addition, Norma and Jerry went to all of Carol's friends' homes to see if she had talked to anyone or gone to their homes, but they could not find her. Norma was very upset when Carol suddenly disappeared, and when the whole community heard that their little Carol was lost, they all came together to help in any way they could. During the same time, the cops were also looking for Carol. They checked a number of doors, some close to Carol's house and some farther away, to see if she had been to any of them that night. No one could confirm seeing her at any of those places, which was a shame. There was a security camera outside the store that Carol was meant to go to, which the police saw, but when they looked at the video, they could not find any proof that Carol had been in the store the night she went missing. Security cameras were not as popular back then as they are now, so only a few stores had them. This made it hard to keep track of Carol's whereabouts. However, a sad finding did not take long to happen. In strange circumstances, Carol's half-brother found her dead body in the evening of December 14, 1976. Trying very hard to find Carol, he had been looking around the neighborhood by himself. His search took him to the end of the street, close to a building that was still being built. The house in question was at 418 Imperial Drive, close to a lake. At the location where Jerry discovered Carol's body, the specifics of the finding remained undisclosed. He described the discovery of clothing, a raincoat, and Carol's lifeless form face down in the water with cement blocks on top. People found Carol's dead body floating in the water, with some of her clothes taken off. This sight really shocked and upset Jerry a lot. Following his quick call to the Largo police to report the find, he had the difficult job of returning home to tell Norma the terrible news. Norma expressed that Jerry couldn't bring himself to convey to her and her husband that their daughter was in the lake, lifeless and submerged, face down. When the cops got there, they carefully pulled Carol's body out of the water to protect any evidence that might be there. It was clear right away that Carol's death was not an accident. The bruises on her body and the concrete block that was used to submerge her suggested that she had been killed on purpose, and her body had been tried to be hidden. The cops thought it was likely that the attack happened at the house that was still being built, and then her body was dumped in the lake. Carol's watch, which stopped at 10:36 p.m., was a very important hint. It showed that she was probably killed between 10:30 and 10:45 p.m. When Carol's dead body was sent for a full autopsy, some disturbing facts were found. Carol had probably lost consciousness, but was not immediately dead when the doctor found her body. A big object had also hit her in the head, badly hurting her. Carol also had a major burn on her hip which was a very upsetting discovery. An even scarier fact was found in the medical examiner's report. Carol was still alive when she was thrown into the water, and the heavy concrete block was put on top of her. Even though the conditions were very dangerous, she stayed aware and eventually drowned. As the doctor looked over Carol's body, he found 3 long hairs that belonged to the same person, but did not seem to belong to her. A 4th hair, which has not been recognized but may belong to the killer, was found on Carol's blue jeans. This finding could be a very important step forward in the case. Due to the limited state of medical technology in the 1970s, the hairs could not be used for much at that time. They were carefully stored until better methods were developed that could help find the person guilty for Carol's tragic death. The Largo police were looking at Carol's half-brother for a while because he was also outside the night Carol was killed, even though Jerry said he was on a date. The cops found that he was done 30 minutes earlier than he said. These facts made them wonder what he did with his time. He only had to drive 8 minutes to get back home from the restaurant. Why did not he go home sooner, since Jerry could not give an alibi for that time period? The cops began to think that he might have been involved in Carol's death. The focus of their study was on him, but they did not find any solid proof. There was no proof that Jerry hurt Carol. The mother of Carol was sure that Jerry loved his sister very much and would never hurt her. They thought something was wrong at first, but focusing on Jerry did not help them find out what was really going on. The cops finally put Jerry out of their minds because they could not find any more proof against him. The police worked hard for 18 months to follow up on every lead, but they could not find any signs that would help them solve the case. The investigation kept going around in circles. It took longer and longer for the investigation to pick up speed, and the case became cold. This made the Hutto family very sad and made them wonder what really happened to Carol that terrible night. Who was to blame for her death? There was the death of their beloved daughter and the anger of not being able to get justice for her. The death of Carol had been a mystery for almost 20 years, but in March 1994, something unexpected happened that made new people look at the case. Due to an injury at work, Officer Brad Hoyes had to spend his desk duty reading through cold case files. He found the disturbing details of Carol Hutto's murder case while going through the old piles, which sparked a long-abandoned probe. As Officer Brad dug deeper into the case, he got the feeling that there were hidden parts that had not been fully looked into in the initial 1976 probe. Because it felt right, he took the risky choice to reopen the case and got the evidence box out of storage where it had been for years. He found Carol's personal notebook among the other things inside. Officer Brad saw promise in those pages and hoped that the diary might have the missing clues that would help him figure out how Carol died so tragically. Detective Mike chose to bring in extra help in the form of the Naval Criminal Investigation Service. In 1998, they thought that having naval officials around would make Hugh nervous, which would make him say something. The night of July 15, 1998, Detective Mike stood outside the police questioning room while Navy investigators Tom Asimos and Dave Early talked to James Cunn, the person they were looking into for murder. They first took a blood sample from Kuhn for further testing after getting the appropriate warrant. Then Asimos and Early started talking to Kuhn with the goal of making him feel safe and supported. Their objective was to establish trust with Jim in the hope that he would, over time, disclose the truth. They inquired whether Jim felt remorse or if his actions were deliberate. They stressed the significance of a straightforward apology. They believed that the incident wasn't premeditated. The NCIS officers were sure that Kuhn was about to tell them what happened on the night of December 13, 1976. Surprisingly, Kuhn, wiping away tears, eventually revealed the sad truth: Carol Hutto's accidental death. There was no clear reason. He had gone to the lake but ended up somewhere else. They told him, "We understand, Jim. We get it. How did she get hurt at home?" Jim explained. "We were playing, chasing each other. She tripped and fell, it seems." They asked what happened next. Jim admitted, "Well, she lost consciousness. I made it look like it was someone or something else." They inquired, "And then?" Jim replied. "That's when her clothes were removed. I took her to the lake." They wondered, "What did you do at the lake?" Jim stated, "I didn't put her in the water. I put rocks on top of her and left." Even though Kuhn seemed upset, these experienced cold case agents were not sure if he was telling the truth. There was no way that Carol could have gotten her injuries, especially to her neck and head, from tripping and falling. The types of injuries they had instead pointed to blunt force wounds and strangulation. Kuhn acknowledged causing Carol's death, despite claiming it was unintentional. He said that he failed to help her and tried to hide both the proof and her body during the murder. Because of this, Kuhn was arrested and was waiting for his trial. But the night before his trial, he told a different story about what happened. According to Kuhn's different story of events, he first said that he and Carol did not touch, even though he wanted to. But when Carol did not agree, things went in a different direction and their argument turned into a fight. Carol screamed and scratched and hit him in response because she thought her screams would get his attention. As he held her tighter around the throat, Kuhn hit her with a 2x4 piece of wood. When he finally let go, Carol passed out on the floor. In a hurry, Kuhn decided to hide her body because he was scared and concerned. He also tried to make things more complicated by setting fire to her thigh, so it looked like someone else had struck her. Police found that Carol had been beaten, taken to the lake, and thrown face down, no matter what details Kuhn gave in his different stories of what happened. A concrete block weighed her down and kept her body under the water. It was interesting that Kuhn's second story seemed more likely and fit better with the evidence that was found. This version of what happened seemed to fit with the physical proof and the circumstances of Carol's terrible death. Finally, on February 9, 2000, the day of the hearing, the prosecutors wanted to find Kuhn guilty of first-degree murder. His lawyers agreed that he had some role in the crime, but they said that manslaughter or even third-degree murder would be a more appropriate sentence. The jury only had 22 minutes to think about the case after receiving it and make a decision. They decided that Kuhn did kill someone in the first degree. Due to the fact that the crime happened in 1976, Kuhn might be able to live freely again. Judge Philip Federico of Pinellas Pasco's Circuit Court used the state's rules from that time. After 25 years, these rules let someone who was found guilty of first-degree murder be considered for parole. It is interesting that Kuhn did not speak to the court during the sentence, but Carol's mother felt she had to. As she talked about how Carol had trusted him, she called him out. "James Kuhn, you used the trust Carol gave you for your bad ones." That was not the end of what Norma said. She said that Kuhn had gone to Carol's funeral and pretended to be sad and friendly while hiding what he really wanted to do. When she told him that he had robbed her daughter of a chance to start a new life, Norma hoped he would never get out of jail. Norma had high dreams for Carol's closure. Carol had a bright future in mind. She was looking forward to the day Carol would proudly graduate from Largo High School. She pictured her 16-year-old daughter in a beautiful white dress, going down the aisle to start a happy life with her new husband, and maybe even starting a family. All of those hopes were dashed, though, in one night, and they really wanted Kuhn to stay in jail forever and never be freed. What do you think about the idea that he should have done the whole sentence for life? Do you think he felt bad about what he did? Did Kuhn's acts toward Carol happen by accident, or did he have a plan? Feel free to leave a suggestion or a case you would like us to look into in the area below for comments. Do not forget to share, like, and subscribe to our channel to see more interesting true crime videos. Stay safe until next time.